Hi everyone and welcome to my video. This is about how I survived the 4th trimester. Now I don't know if any of you have heard, but there is something called the 4th trimester, 3 trimesters in pregnancy, and then the 4th one is the first 3 months after your baby is born. Things change dramatically in the first 3 months, I think, after the baby's born, well in my experience anyway, and so I'm just going to basically tell you a little bit about what happened in my 4th trimester and how I coped, because there were at points when I thought that I wasn't going to cope. And so yeah, I'm just going to share that with you guys. So basically I'm going to start with the first night. First night, baby, he's down there by the way, so if you hear him. Okay, so the first night, we had a lot of trouble with Roman latching on for breastfeeding. He wasn't that early. He was technically term. He was born at 37 weeks, so he was term. But he was quite little, and he was really jaundiced, and apparently that contributes to them not being able to latch properly. So we had a lot of problems with that, and I was getting a lot of blisters and really sore nipples and just a lot of frustrations basically that first night. Eventually we did get him to be able to feed, but it was with the help of a lactation consultant. As for sleep, I was exhausted. You know, once you give birth, of course you're going to be, but I was kept awake for about 2 hours after I really wanted to go to sleep, because I needed to be stitched up and I had to get taken to theatre for that, and because I tore quite bad. And so I remember just laying there in theatre thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just absolutely exhausted. And kind of the rest of the night was a bit of a blur. I don't recall waking up for feeds or changes or anything like that for Roman. So I don't know whether Martin changed his nappy or whether I actually fed him. I'm not sure. That's for the first few hours after he was born anyway. And then we started having those latching on problems. His nappies were all black poos, I should say. And the nurse changed the first one, so I didn't really have to deal with all that black yucky poop, so that was good. As for my feelings, I was just feeling really sleep deprived and just a bit out of it. I was on a bit of painkillers and things, and so I was feeling a bit weird basically. So the first night home, it was really scary. I gave birth to Roman on the Saturday, and I didn't get discharged from hospital till the Wednesday, and even then it was only because I bawled my eyes out and begged them to let me go home. I got high blood pressure, so that's why I had to stay. And I was actually very nervous about going home. I didn't get postnatal depression, but I think I kind of, you know, my hormones were all over the place, which made me feel not down, but just jittery and nervous and a bit scared and wondering how I was going to cope. And most of it I think was from sleep deprivation as well actually. So the feeding still wasn't latching on quite well, but we were getting there. I mean, he was getting enough in him, and so that night it was just awful. Roman didn't want to sleep at all, and I was exhausted. I was beyond exhausted. And my sister, who was living next door at the time, came over and looked after Roman till about midnight. I think she got him to sleep, which was wonderful because I was out of it. I was in a whole other world from just sleep deprivation. So his feeding and nappy changes were 3 hourly at that point because he was jaundiced, so he wasn't waking himself up. I had to do it for him. So yeah, I was starting to feel kind of panicky and tired and very weak as well, because I'd lost a lot of blood, and they wanted to give me a blood transfusion at the hospital, but I didn't end up getting one, so that's good. I probably would have declined anyway. So yeah, the first night was awful, to be honest. It really was. I was scared, I was tired, and Roman just wasn't wanting to go to sleep, so I'm very grateful I had the help of my sister. The first week Roman was back home, we happened to have a big low over the country, and so we started to get these really bad snowstorms, and I'm not used to that. We live somewhere where we never get snow, and so to have all the snow bucketing down outside was just a little bit scary for me. And I think Roman had been home about 3 or 4 days, and it snowed so hard one night that the power went out, and I started to get real panicky, like it was the end of the world. And I think it was due to my hormones and just lack of sleep as well, as I've said before. But you know, nothing was going right for me. I had to try and change his nappies by candlelight. We couldn't find a torch that went. So we did everything by candlelight. We had to cook the dinner on top of the fireplace. We had to change nappies by candlelight. I had to feed him by candlelight, and we had to try and find everything by candlelight. And just as a new mum, I was just feeling really panicky about that. It was, to me, this was the worst thing that could ever happen, and I was kind of freaking out a little bit. The rest of that week, I had to call a lactation consultant about Roman because he was not latching on, and I had to keep feeding him off of a spoon. I was expressing onto a spoon and feeding it to him, and so that was kind of scary. I was a bit worried about that, but we got there in the end. Also in the first week, me and my sister went out for lunch, and it was good to get out of the house, but I was just so exhausted and weak. Even being in the shower, I remember I had to say to my sister, it's going to be creepy, but you have to watch me in the shower because I think I'm actually going to faint. And so it was really awful, and just trying to cope with a baby was really horrible, to be honest. And so I'm glad that first week has been and gone, long gone. The first month things were kind of all over the place. We didn't have a real sleeping pattern. We didn't have a real kind of feeding pattern. It was originally 3 hourly because I had to wake him up, but then it just turned into kind of all over the place. Every 2 hours, and it might stretch out to 3, might be 3.5. It was crazy all over the place. I was still tired, still a bit confused about what was going on. And I was just kind of wondering if I'd made the right choice to have a baby, basically. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was knackered. I was absolutely knackered, and thinking, you know, are things ever going to get better? I had my friend's wedding to go to when Roman was only 4 weeks old, and so we were out the whole day, and we eventually got to the reception, and I was starting to feel really, really tired and exhausted and actually kind of teary, and I said to Mum, we have to go. And we got down to the car, and we turned the car on, and I saw that it was only 7:30, and I bawled my eyes out. I literally bawled my eyes out because I kind of felt like my life was over, you know. I was exhausted by 7:30 at night, and I couldn't even have fun at my friend's wedding. So that did make things kind of difficult at that time. The second month, we started to get a bit of a routine with sleeping and feeding. I finally felt I got a bit of strength back, so I could finally start making dinner again, because by the end of the day I was just so exhausted. I couldn't even think about dinner. So thank goodness my friend came around, and she had done a whole lot of frozen meals for us, which was wonderful. We used a lot of those. But yeah, we got a bit of a routine going. I started to feel happy in myself again. I started to get my energy back. I started to feel like I was alive. I know that sounds weird, but I started to feel like I was alive, like I could live life and get out and do things and visit friends, and, you know, not be all panicky about it. Getting into the third month, fantastic. We had a perfect routine, because Roman's 4 months old now, so we've just finished the third month. Perfect routine with sleeping, feeding. Feeding is absolutely perfect, not a problem with latching at all. So breastfeeding was well established, routine was well established. I was happy. I was, you know, really happy about life. I was happy about baby. I was even thinking about, you know, the fact that, yep, I could probably have another one, no problem. And life kind of feels normal. Like having a baby is just normal and routine for us now. It's just how life is. Whereas those early days, it was just like, it just didn't feel normal. Things were out of place, and nothing was running as it used to. And it just took a little while to kind of get grips on how life was meant to run, basically, have a routine. So now that Roman's 4 months old, things are perfectly normal. we live life day to day as if we'd had a baby our entire lives, do you know what I mean? So it just goes to show that the first 3 months of a baby's life is dramatic. Things change dramatically, not just a little bit. It's just all of a sudden something will completely change. You think you know your baby, and then the next minute they've completely changed their personality again. So I'm very proud to say that I survived the 4th trimester, because it was hard. I'm not going to lie to you, it was really hard getting to grips with life with a new baby, and now it's wonderful. And I think when I get round to having a second baby, things are going to be a lot different. Every pregnancy is different, and just like every pregnancy is different, the first 3 months of a baby's life are probably going to be different for the next baby as well. But at least now I know what's kind of the norm. I know, you know, when my baby should be sleeping, and getting routines in place. And it's going to be a little bit harder as well, because this one's going to be running all over the place, and so I'm going to have to split my time between 2 children. But I don't think that panicky thing that came over me is going to happen again. I wouldn't say it was postnatal depression. I don't think it was at all. I think it was just, you know, just coping with the lack of sleep and the changes that were going on in my life at that time. But I'm very grateful to all the help I had. If you are going to be having a baby anytime soon, help. Get everyone you know to help you. Get everyone to make you frozen meals. We lived on frozen meals, okay? So get everyone to make you frozen meals, because seriously, when you're sleep deprived, the last thing you want to do is cook a full-on meal. It took me at least 3 or 4 weeks before I actually started even thinking about crumbing a piece of chicken or making a roast or anything like that, because it's exhausting. It was really exhausting to think about it, and to even clean your house. You know, you just don't want to do that. So the more help you have, the better. So it was just my video on the 4th trimester, and I just wish everyone else luck who's going to be going through their 4th trimester soon, or is in the middle of their 4th trimester at the moment. The last thing I want to say is just breathe. Everything is going to be okay. Your baby will eventually go to sleep. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but they will go to sleep. Things do get better, okay? They seriously do get better. So don't freak out, and just enjoy the time you have with this precious little baby, because as you can see, they grow up really fast. So that's all, you guys. And I just wanted to share that. It just goes to show that even when you've been wanting a baby for so long and gone through fertility treatment and IVF, it just goes to show that we are not immune to having the troubles of the first 3 months of a baby's life. We are not immune to that at all. We still want to just sit down and cry. We still get sleep deprived. We still have our house a complete mess. We are not superwoman. So it just goes to show. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and check out my other videos. Alright, see ya.